What is going on, everybody? Man, Micah back with another video. Back here to talk about the iPhone 15 Pro. Yes, and what I'm here to talk about is battery life. How has the battery life been on the iPhone 15 Pro? A few days after using it, I received mine on Saturday. It is now Tuesday, heading into Wednesday. And have I had issues with the battery? What is the word on the street about the battery? That's what we're about to get into in this video. And here's one of the things that I've been hearing is that the 15 Pro and or primarily the 15 Pro Max has been suffering overheating slash battery life drain issues. Now, to split that to be more specific, the Pro Max has been getting a lot of overheating issues and the Pro has had less than stellar battery life according to other users. Now, it's interesting whenever this happens because it seems like this happens every time an iPhone drops as of recently. There's some type of battery gate situation. And it's possible that people are experiencing that. As soon as you get the phone, the first thing you're doing is setting it up. You are logging in and transferring your data from the previous iPhone or previous phone in general and moving it to the new phone. So what do you expect the phone to do? It's probably going to overheat. It's probably going to feel hot to the hand. It's probably going to drain battery for the first few days. Why? Because your phone is doing a ton of stuff at once and it has not really been worked through its paces in that way yet. So it's setting up, it's figuring out, analyzing, understanding how you're going to use the phone. And it's going to take about a few days to a week for that to take place. So to me, it's understandable that there could be some level of battery issues your first few days of having the device because it's doing a lot for you. The other thing I can think of as to why battery life might be suffering for some individuals is because they're doing too much on their phone. Yes, there are people who spend too much time on their phone. They game too much on their phone. They might be using intensive tasks too much on their phone and their battery life is draining. They might have all these settings turned on that they don't need. And I don't even think that would be an issue per se, but still, if you actually tailor the phone to your use and needs, you will probably improve your battery life or understand why your battery life is draining. Now, for me personally, how has my battery life been on this here? You probably can't see the screen because I got a filter on. On my on my 15 Pro, I've had tremendous battery life. It's only died on me once. I left home with about 60% battery life, I think. And over the course of 3 hours using Apple Maps for the entire time while having the Apple podcast play in the background and then talk on the phone for a good period of time because I was picking my wife up from an airport, my battery eventually died in that 3.5 hour time span. Now that was one day, it was crazy, but it was a little more warm in the car. It was like 87 plus degrees outside, so it was baking against my iPhone as it was sitting in the car holster, the car mount. So the variables, assisted in draining the battery life of my iPhone 15 Pro that day. Other than that, I've had great battery life. For me, I use my phone actually all day. Now, recently, I've charged my phone and taken it off the charger before going to bed. But if I just give you a typical, I leave it on charger overnight, which I don't even know if I've done with this phone yet. I wake up at 7 a.m. and then about 7:30, I got YouTube playing on the way to work, about a 25-minute drive. That's YouTube playing to work. Once I get to work, I put my AirPods Pro in, second generation, and I'm listening to either YouTube or it's a combination because something's being listened to. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, maybe occasionally a show if I can get one in. Those are the three things I'm occasionally listening to straight streaming off of 5G network connectivity for in the span of 8 hours, and I could probably argue 6 to 6.5 of that is actual active use time for myself. Now, that does not include the various surfing that I may do on Twitter, the very brief moment I might spend on TikTok, the very brief moment I might spend on Instagram. It's usually Twitter, YouTube, news articles, a little bit of Safari, banking, looking at some stuff like from that perspective, playing chess in the chess app from time to time. So all those little miscellaneous moments outside of the consecutive streaming and draining of battery on my phone, I will still finish after an 8-hour period of all that activity with between 45 and 20% left. Now, this is me going home, getting in the car, and resuming my YouTube or Apple Podcasts or whatever, streaming on the way home, which is 20 to 25 minutes. So I'm leaving work now with 45 to 20%. When I get home, of course, my activity calms down a little bit because I'm at home. I got an iPad, I got a TV that I can facilitate that activity through, or I'm doing something else completely, so my phone may be a little bit more idle. I don't have to put this on the charger till around like 9 o'clock p.m. So just from a 12-hour span, I still have over 1% battery life. And I say over 1 because it could be 5%, it could be 4%, it could be 3%, it could be 6%, it could be 2%, it could be 10%. I put the phone on the charger around 8 to 9 p.m., take it off the charger at 10, or I just leave it on the charger on a wireless charger, my Belkin stand, which has like some degree of faster charging, and I'll leave it on there for the night. So in the 12-hour span, when I need my phone is there for me with no problems, and all I gotta do is pop it on the charger real quick. And I have noticed that USB-C actually does, I think, charge a little bit faster, at least in my experience. I do have a 45-watt charger. It does charge a little bit faster, in my opinion. Definitely gets hot. That leads me to my third point. And before I get to that point, let me segue back to what I was just saying. My phone is constantly running in an 8-hour period, and it never lets me down. So I'm confused as to how an individual who may not be doing the same level of activity as me is destroying their phone battery in 8 to 12 hours. What are you doing to diminish your battery life in that way? I am thoroughly confused. Or we're talking about two different things, because what is bad battery life? Are you talking about the percentage you have left at the end of the day and that you have to put on a charger, or it dies on you when you need it? Because during the period of time in which you need it, you shouldn't really have a problem. I'm just saying, and I don't charge it throughout the day. I stick to basically one battery cycle a day. So I'm confused with y'all. Y'all got to let me know down in the comment section below. What are you doing to drain your battery life so bad? Now, segue to the third point, titanium. It's a little bit more conducive than steel. So you're going to feel the heat on the back. And I believe, if it's not according to Jerry Rig Everything or how the battery is set up inside, I think the coils or whatever are much more closer to the back plate of the glass. And so it's going to, of course, dissipate that much easier against the back of the device and the rails. So the phone's going to feel generally more warm or hot to the touch than previous iPhone generations. So also keep that in mind when you're considering overheating or the phone is hot or warm to the touch, is because the material that's being used now is more conducive to heat. So those are things I can think about when it comes to battery life. For me personally, am I having battery life issues with my 15 Pro? No. And I would love to try to understand how somebody else is having crazy battery issues. My wife's 14 Pro Max holding up just fine for her when she needs. The only time I ever experienced bad battery life on a phone is the first 1 or 2 beta software updates. Beta software, not official software, beta software. So please, y'all, those who suffering with battery life, please evaluate. What are you doing on your phone? And figure out ways you can cut that back. In settings, you have low power mode. In settings, you can cut off background app refresh on a bunch of apps that you know you're probably not using and don't even care to really open that often. Just cut the background app refresh off like that. That's all you got to do. You can also jump into settings again, notifications, and cut off a bunch of notifications for a bunch of apps you know you don't care to hear back from. Do those little small things. If you use always on display, turn it off. I use always on display. Yes, displaying my picture in the undertone. I love always on display on the iPhone. That's one of the other reasons why I switched over, because I think they're always on display is a little bit better from that perspective than Android. Android gives more customization from, in terms of little other things, but I like the fact that it just lowers and dims down and I can still see my wallpaper with always on display. But mine's on. If you don't want, turn yours off. Turn it off. Turn it off. You know what I'm saying? Those few things right there will help improve your battery life on your phone or on your device, tablet, phone, watch. Cut a lot of those little small things down, and it's less that your phone has to do, and there you will save battery life. Also, if you care about your battery life long term, cut on, if it's available on your device, it might just be the 15/15 Pro series, is you can limit your phone battery charge to 80% or do optimized charging. That way it only charges 80% or to 100% once you actually need it. It'll stop at 80% and then slowly work its way up to 100 when you need it. And that's where I can leave it on the charger overnight, because it'll pretty much stop between 80 and 82%. And then over the course of the next 7-8 hours, it will make its way to 100%. That way when I take it off the charger, I'm good to go in the morning. And for 3.5 months that I had the iPhone 14 Pro, my battery health never dropped below 100%. So it's something I plan to replicate with the 15 Pro. But those are just a few settings you can do to instantly improve your battery life without harming or intervening on the performance of the phone. So there's some things to keep in mind there when it comes to battery life, but I definitely suggest anybody having battery life issues evaluating what rogue apps they may have on their phone, their usage of the phone, what apps they really want to hear back from or see notifications from or update in the background. Those type of activities, those situations is what's going to help you improve your battery life. So let me know down in the comment section below, have you been suffering from battery life on your iPhone or on your phone in general? And if so, if it's a previous gen iPhone, did you go get your battery swapped, or did you change the settings so that way you can maintain performance or prioritize battery life over performance? And what was the difference there? The comment section is open for discussion. But again, as always, if you guys haven't already, make sure to like button, subscribe to the channel, notification bells on my videos. So it's sit back, relax, subscribe. Man, Mike signing out to the next